Got a red moped jumping in front of us, but no, not one of us can see what's before. How's it going, everyone? I'm going to show you a really neat Vizzy.io visualization that I made today for a Suno track I made a while back called Red Moped. And then I'm going to walk you through how I did it to hopefully help you, if you're interested in Vizzy, learn how to do some of the more complex things in here. We get into some really interesting uses of projections and fake images and 2D and 3D combined. So let's just show you the first few seconds of the video first, and you can see what's going on. We all got a red moped jumping in front of us, but no, not one of us can see what's before our eyes. So before you judge, realize you got a red moped too. You got a red moped too. Riding down the street fast. So as you can see, there's a lot of really fun things going on in this scene. When I was working on this video at first, I thought it'd be fun just to have a video of some red mopeds driving, and so I got into Kling.ai and sent some keyframes of some fun Pixar-looking first frames to have some mopeds driving down the street. But then I was like, what if those mopeds? What if this was a movie playing on a TV in a living room? So I quickly prompted a Pixar living room scene, and was like, yeah, that'd be fun. So having the movies playing on the background here on the TV. But then I was like, what else can we do to make this fun and vibe with the music? This is a really fun song. Never done reggae before, but this is a fun little experiment into reggae. And I was sitting there talking to my wife, and she was like suggesting maybe like a lo-fi girl approach, having some steam coming out of the coffee mug or something. But I thought about it for a minute, and I realized on Canva there's a neat tool where you can pick up objects in a scene, like extract them from an image. And so I brought this scene into Canva and literally just picked up the couch, picked up the chair, picked up the ottoman here, picked up a few of the things on the shelf and the pictures, and just extracted them from the image. And it left them, I'll show you what it looks like without any of the others, just by hiding the foreground here. I left the scene looking like this. Of course, it doesn't have the logo and the text. But then I was able to create, I just spit out PNGs, transparent PNGs of all the foreground objects, and so I could layer them in Vizio here. And so I'll walk you through how I did this and how I made them dance, how I got the video onto the TV itself. I'm going to do it from scratch, so hopefully I can actually reproduce what I made. So let's get going. We're starting with a blank Vizzy project, and I'm just going to delete, well, I'll just delete pretty much all the layers except for the background to start. And let's get our background image here. If you're new to Vizzy, just a quick run through. This is your preview area. This is your properties pane where you can edit the properties of whatever object you have selected here. The composition tab has all the different layers and the objects that are on each layer. And there are two different layer types. There's 3D layer types and 2D layer types. And you got to be careful when you're using one or the others because they work differently. And we're going to get into that more, but let's get started. So first, we're going to select the background image. And I've got my song art all in a folder here. I think this is, yep, that's not the right one. We want this one, yep. So there's the background, perfect. So we have our blank scene. We're gonna add a new layer here. Call this foreground objects. And here we want to add images for each of the foreground objects. Some of them are in the same image, like several of the things, the plant and this one, I just left some of them the same. But I wanted them to be able to jump at different rates. So there's a total of 7 layers here. These are all going on the same layer in the scene. That one just added the ottoman there. But they're going to the same Vizzy layer, but all these images, objects are going into this layer, but they act as different layers. They're different objects, different transparent PNGs. So there's the table. The couch. Paintings. Another one of the paintings, and I think we have a third painting here. Yep. All right, so we've got all the objects there. We'll start with making the objects jump to the music. So first we're going to choose our audio. It comes with a default song whenever you start a new Vizzy project. Oh, and first, before I forget, we're going to change the title of this, Red Moped Demo. And just save early and often. I've had a couple of times where I lost all of my work in Vizzy because I thought it was saved and wasn't. Now I'm paranoid. So we're saving. I'm going to grab our audio. It's going to analyze the audio. And let's talk about that for a second. So I don't use the audio analyzer's features that much yet. I'm still getting into that, but it's possible to have different audio analyzers that are analyzing different segments of the waveform or the spectrum. It's a little beyond the scope of this tutorial today, but we're just going to use the default audio analyzer, and we're going to do some automations on these images first off. We want these images, or we want the objects in the room to jump whenever the audio hits heavy parts. So we start, when I was playing with this, at first I wasn't sure exactly how I was going to do this or if it was going to look right. So I was trying scaling, and I ended up settling just on the position, like changing the Y position, making it jump. You can see if I move this up and down, you can see those objects jump. So that was enough to produce the effect I was looking for. So to add an audio impact to this particular value here, you go to these three dots, you hit add automation, and here you can see all the objects just like in the composition screen. And over here you have the different properties we can automate. So this marks a controller as active or inactive. So we're wanting to create a controller for this position. So we have this active and we hit choose up here. And this gives us the option to do keyframes, where we can set when the value starts and when it ends according to the timeline of the project. Or we can do audio impact, or we can do math. We'll do a little math formula later, but for now we're going to focus on audio impact, and we want to uncheck the X and the Z coordinates because we don't want to modify those with this particular automation controller. So you can have them all modified and receive the same value, or you can have each one in it with a different controller. You can create as many automation controllers as you want. For this instance, we are varying. I found like 50 worked really well. You can just play with the slider as you're, with the objects themselves and see where they need to go. I found like between like 50 and 80 was pretty cool. And I'd set each one of them to a different level. And I played with the sensitivity too, so that they weren't all responding to the audio in the exact same way. I made some of them more sensitive, some of them less sensitive. So I'll just kind of set that randomly and go through and do all these real quick. Actually, before I do that, let's make sure the first one we did works. So that was for the three objects together. We all got a red moped. Turn this down a little bit so I can talk over it. I'm going to skip ahead to, yep, so those are jumping now. If we wanted to, let's go look at where the automation we just created happens. If you go to the automation tab, you can see this image position Y is the automation we just created. All of your automations will appear here. And you can create folders to organize them. So we're going to create jumping objects group. You can see here's the minimum value that we set, the maximum value. If you wanted to have them go lower, be at a default position lower, you could do that. You could be like -20, and they would Now they're lower at first, and they go between -20 and 50. But you want them at 0. If you wanted to make them jump less, you could set this to like 20. If you wanted to make them jump more, set it to like 100. Yeah, so they lift up a lot when you do that. I found 50 worked really well. So let's go ahead and add a bunch more. Just try to do this real quick. Set this one to 40 and make it a little bit more sensitive. This part's a little tedious, but zoom quick enough. This one bounce a little bit less and be a little less sensitive. So again, we're just basically doing the same thing on all of these and then just varying them slightly, making sure we're unchecking the X and the Z boxes so it's only affecting the Y coordinates. This one was the couch, and I wanted it to feel heavier, so I'm setting it to half sensitivity. Oh, wait, that wasn't the couch. What was that? Oh, that was one of the pictures. And we'll let it be half sensitivity too. It won't hurt it. Or was that the... Where's the couch? There's the couch. Okay, well, no worries. Let's see what it does now. Wait. My coffee table disappeared. Uh-oh. Where'd you go, coffee table? Oh, this is the 3D view, by the way. So it's there. I think there's something messed up with the Z index of it. What did I do? No, that's not the coffee table. Where's the coffee table? There it is. Yeah, sometimes I've had some strange things happen with Z index. That's usually what I'll look for if something's not working right. All right, let's see if everything's bouncing. What? I must have. That's what happened. So with the coffee table, I had it assigned to position X. I didn't uncheck all the boxes. So I'm going to delete this one and redo the coffee table. Set this back to 0. Add automation. Make sure to check those. Skip ahead. Yeah. So I feel like I need to vary a little bit more. Yeah, that's enough variance. All right, great. So the objects in the room are now bouncing. It looks like we got all of them. So next, let's get the video on the TV. This was a fun little challenge. So we're going to create a group for, or a layer for the video. And then we're creating a layer for video projection. Now this is where we'll get into the camera types and how they affect things. So video projection layer needs to be a perspective camera type. There's perspective and orthographic. Orthographic is the fixed 2D plane, and then the perspective allows a camera with field of view and near plane, far plane allows you to to actually put things in perspective. So we want the video layer to be orthographic, so this is a 2D layer, and we're going to add a 2D object. You can just filter by 2D here, the different categories of objects. And there's video. So now we've got a video object, and we're going to select, let's see, this one, I think. Yep. All right, so there's our lovely video with the mopeds on it. Let's see how this looks. Yeah, I don't know what's going on in the background. I didn't see that before. So, yep, okay, video is working. Now we need to get it onto the TV. So, to do this, we're going to first do a couple things. We're going to add, or we're going to render this to buffer so that it goes away. And this will only get seen if it gets used by something else. So now we're going to create an image that uses this video that's being rendered to buffer now. So we're going to add an image to the video projection layer. And when you add an image, normally you are uploading an image or linking to one, but you can create dummy images that are only displaying what is coming from another layer. So we're going to use layer as image, and we select which layer we're using, and we're using the video layer. Now boom, we have a image that is displaying that video, but we can do cool things with it, like adjust where it is in 3D space. This is supposed to be perspective layer. There we go. So now we see the camera for this layer is showing. Ooh, I don't want to adjust the camera. Yeah, actually I can adjust the camera. We'll just adjust the camera. Nope. Let's adjust the size of the image first. We're going to scale this down to a lot smaller than it was. Hopefully. Yeah, okay. So this is the switch back between the 3D mode and the 2D mode. You have to, when you're using the 3D layers, you have to get things lined up in 3D right. So this is how you accomplish that. So we're getting it to about the right size. Maybe we need to go a little smaller. I don't know whether we actually need to adjust the Z-axis or not. So I'm going to leave that at 1. And let's move it over. Now, to get this to work right, I can't remember, how did I do this? I want to make sure we're adjusting the projection layer, not the video layer, when we're changing the transformations here. So I think I just, no, that's not the right one. Yeah, we want to rotate it on the Z-axis to get it more lined up with the TV. Let's make it smaller and then increase the size until it's the right size. We got the perspective right. Let's get the scale right. Oh. Yeah, this part was tricky, I remember. Okay, because it's in the center, so I guess I gotta... Almost. There we go. So probably 1.5 here too. Ooh, so close, so close. I think that's going to be, yeah, that's close enough. There we go. So again, what we did was we rendered the video to a buffer by right-clicking on the video layer and toggling render to buffer. This icon there shows that it's rendering to a buffer. And then we grabbed that buffer in this image projection layer and selected the target layer here and the use layer as image. And that allows us to, because this layer is a perspective layer, it allows us to position the image that is displaying the video in 3D space, so it can lay right on top of the TV in the right perspective. So next up, let's get the lyrics on the screen. Vizzy has a really great lyric tool here that allows you to just paste your lyrics. Like what I did is just paste my Suno lyrics right in here, and then they have a synchronization tool where you hit start sync and you go through and you listen to your song, and you just hit A or the mark start, mark end to tag when your lyrics are coming in. That's one way to do it. You can also do it with CapCut. I hear is like it'll sync or align your lyrics. I found it's manually is better, and then at the end it generates a JSON file for you. So I already have that JSON file, and I'm just gonna go ahead and add my lyrics layer. And choose my lyrics file. Okay, so can't remember what font I chose, but I think it was Reggio Bold. Reglo Bold. Yeah, I like that. Okay. For this, I think I ended up using a transformation layer, or I was possibly projecting the lyrics as well. I'm going to try just transforming this perspective layer without... Oh, no, this is an orthographic layer. Okay, so I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm going to delete this. I have to create a projection layer for this that is in 3D space. So again, we're adding an image. We're buffering the lyrics. We are selecting the use layer as image and then choosing the lyrics. So now they're on our screen again. And we're setting the lyrics projection layer to be a perspective layer. And our image disappeared probably because of the Z index, or maybe oh. All right, let's go into 3D space here and see what's going on. So it looks like the lyrics are just not visible in 3D space. There we go. So you can see that cone shows where the camera is able to see on that layer. Yeah, that layer. So our lyrics were out of the camera's view. So I moved. You can drag the camera for the layer, or you can drag the lyrics themselves. Either way is fine. So now we've got them in 3D space, and we want to get the right perspective. So we want to rotate them. No, the Z-axis, not what we want. Yeah, we got the Y-axis. We can rotate them. First, I want to get my... Now I'm going to actually go to the actual lyric box and use the Show Bounding Box tool to adjust the size of the space that the lyrics can render in. That determines like where they word wrap and things like that. So I want to shrink it down, and it also gives me a nice little plane I can see if my perspective is right to map it onto the wall. So now I'm going to go back to the projection image and move. Oh, maybe that wasn't the right thing to do. Where did it go? So I'm adjusting the camera to get them in view again. There we go. So I'm gonna slide it up over here, and I think I had shrunk the box a bit more than this too. Make it fit onto the wall better. go back over to the actual lyric layer and adjust the bounding box some more. So you can see how it adjusts where it wraps. So I'm going to make it there. Shrink it this way too. And adjust the... So you can see I'm repositioning the object in 3D space by going up to the lyrics projection layer. But I have to adjust the actual properties of the lyrics box itself by going to the lyrics layer. So it looks like, yeah, it's positioned in space pretty well now. Let's throw some shadow on here. Make it a little bit blurrier. You can change the direction of the shadow if you want. I think that's probably good enough for this tutorial. Turn off the bounding box. All right, let's see what it looks like. Yeah, looking pretty good. I think I had made it a little bit smaller in my version of it so that it didn't quite run into the couch that much, but we're not trying to get it perfect here. I'm just trying to show you how I did it. So last up, this is a fun part. I've been playing around with a 3D logo of my brand, my David Israel logo. So we're going to add that to the scene. And we're going to add a couple of layers for that. So first, the logo layer. And I bet you can't guess what this one's going to be. The logo projection layer. I do a lot lately with these projections, which is real strength of Vizzy. Cool tool here. My hat's totally off to the creators of Vizzy. I've been having such a great time with this tool. So we're going to add a model. You can see our nice little teapot there, the default model. And we also have to, whenever you're adding a model, you have to add a point light. And this is going to be a tricky thing to demo because I always struggle actually making this work at first, but let me just, hopefully I can get this right. I have to arrange this model in 3D space properly to get it to light right. So first I want to get my David Israel logo. And let's see, my GLB file. I took my brand here. I found a website where you can just convert a PNG to a GLB or a GLTF file, and I found a GLB that worked with Vizzy, and it still shows the teapot at first until you advance the next frame. So now I've advanced the next frame, and whoa, oh no, where'd my model go? This took me a while to figure out. There's a bit of a trick here. So the scale of the model is just really off with this particular model that I'm importing. I don't know what there could be done about that, but for now there's no reason to. I figured out how to get around it. It's here in the 3D space. You can see there's that little, oh, there it is. We had to zoom in really, really far, and it's not even turned the right way. So let's make it bigger first. Make my logo bigger spray.com. Let's try 10. And I had to do it in all 3 dimensions or else it's flat. No, I didn't want that. Let's see, can we see it? No, still can't see it. Where are you, logo? Okay. Maybe the point light isn't. Okay, I'm going to solo this layer. I'm going to try scaling this. Okay, so yeah, we're actually seeing something. Yeah, there's my logo. It's not turned right. I think it needs to be rotated 90 degrees in the x-axis. There we go. I'm going to unsolo it. Okay, voila. We've got the logo appearing right. It's not in the right position yet, but it's at least on the screen. So now we want to get the point light to at least some decent place. Oh, I'm moving the model. That's okay. That is kind of having the effect I want. The point light, I like to make it a little bit smaller of a distance, so you can see that affected how it actually lights up the model. Maybe it wasn't. It's, yeah, a little bit more intense, a little bit smaller distance. Yeah, it's a cool effect. What I'm gonna do is make the logo shift back and forth in space, just using a formula. So I want it to rock on the z-axis, kind of like this. So I'm going to use another automation to accomplish that. I'm going to add an automation for the rotation of the z-axis on my model. Other fun things I've done is like have point lights move back and forth. I've had like 2 different point lights of different colors just in front of the model moving back and forth. There's lots of different things you can do. For now, just the z-axis. And we're going to use a function here, a formula, to accomplish this. So we want it to oscillate between, well, I'll show you how I arrive at this. First, we're going to use a sine formula to have it be a smooth oscillation. We're going to use the t, which for the time, and then an amplifier, because it's a very small value. It'll take forever to actually achieve the oscillation unless you amplify it in some way. So let's watch and see what this does. So we added that automation. We're going to go over here to the automations tab. We're going to choose the model rotation Z. We're going to expand the basics tab here, and there's this really handy viewer that shows you the output of the formula that you just did. And we'll watch and see what the model actually does. Okay, so you can see the model is not doing much. It's oscillating between 0 and 1 now, but that's not doing anything to the model. What we need to do is determine, okay, so we want it to go between -50 or negative and +50. So let's try that. Now you can see the value decreasing and increasing in a smooth fashion. You can see the model's rotating. That's a little bit too severe of a rotation. Let's try 10. So yeah, that's pretty nice. You can see here it's oscillating between -10 and +10. That creates a nice little rocking back and forth of the logo. If I wanted to make it faster, I could do this. I could make it 500, or I could make it 10 if I want it to be a lot slower. So this number inside of the formula is your speed, and this is how much it's actually moving back and forth essentially. So we'll leave it at 50 and 10. But we don't want it just in the middle of our image like this. And if you try to reposition this thing by itself, you're going to have a headache. The model and the point light are together right now, and it's best just to leave them together. Just light the scene, light your model separately, and then project it somewhere else. So once again, we're using the image projection, use layer as image, target layer, logo. And we're going to render this to buffer. If you don't do that, this won't work. So make sure you do that. Now we can easily scale this thing down. Too much, maybe like 0.4, 4. Yeah. Now, keep in mind we don't want to do the z-axis here because this is an orthographic space. So that would just affect what position, like what plane it's on within the orthographic space. It's just a 2D rendered object at this point. We want to move it over to the bottom left corner here. Oh, not that. What did I just do? I just rotated it. Okay. Yeah. Keep moving it. I think that point light needs to be a little stronger, huh? Too strong. Still too strong. Okay, that's better. And let's make it... I had done red. It didn't really fit with the scene. It fits with the song, but the scene is a lot softer oranges, warm tones, but not so harsh red. So I made it more of an orange to match. Yeah. Let's see what happens now. So, oh, okay, it is still moving. Good. That's too slow. let's speed that up. Oh yeah. Let's go 80. Yeah, that's really nice now. Okay. Let's see. Is that it? I think that's it. I think that's everything. Oh, no, one more thing. The black end, or the fade in, fade out. So just to make it, look nice and polished, you can have it fade from black and fade to black at the end. So let's create a blackout layer. And we're going to, oh, no, not another layer. I'm going to use a blackout layer, and we're going to add a plane. And we're going to make this just a solid black. And we're going to go back to the first frame, and we're going to use a keyframe animation, keyframe animation to animate the opacity here. So I hit stop to go back to the first frame, and then I click this record animation button to start a keyframe, and then I want it to just fade in real quick. So I'm going to go like 2 seconds here, 1.91, close enough. And then I'm going to drag the opacity down to 0, and then I'm going to hit the green stop record animation, and that sets the second keyframe. So now if we go back to the first frame and we hit play, boom, nice little smooth fade in. Let's do one at the end here too. So let's see where this. Okay, yeah, that's a good spot right there. So we're going to start another keyframe, and we're going to go to the end. We're going to increase the opacity and set another keyframe. So now, smooth fade to black. All right. I hope this has been helpful for you. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments, and of course, like and subscribe. I never thought I'd say that in my life, but here I am with a YouTube channel teaching y'all how to use Vizzy. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I've had a fun time presenting it to you. Have a great day.